big couple of days for Hugh Freeze down at Auburn. As the show ended on Friday, we told you about Payton Thorne leaving Michigan State and picking Auburn. Caleb Burton, 4-star receiver from the Austin, Texas area at Ohio State, 5'11 speedster. He picks the Auburn Tigers as well, and we'll talk to Hokanson about that. But in the show today, Alan Flanigan, the basketball player at Auburn, has hit the portal as well. That'll be part of our conversation now as we switch to Justin Hokanson.
And you can follow him on Twitter @_J Hokanson, part of Auburn Live on 3 Sports. He is on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. As we start, Hoke, we have stumbled into this. People are flooding the chat room with it, the Coke Zero chat room. Your most random celebrity encounter in an airport?
I have no idea.
You and I bumped into each other in an airport one time.
So Dunaway, is Jim Dunaway is yours?
I literally can't think of one.
Wow.
Yes.
Sorry.
See, me either, Hoke. I never notice anybody when I'm walking through the airport. And I think at some point in 2023 that if you're a big enough celebrity, you're not in the same airport I'm in. You're across the runway. You're flying to PJs.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm listening to music. AirPods are probably already in as soon as possible. I'm not paying attention to a lot going on. I'm just trying to get on the plane.
Any surprise with the Alan Flanigan
No.
hitting the portal? Okay. I was saying this earlier, Hoke, and I don't know how you feel, but there was a minute that I felt he was the only NBA player on that roster last year.
Yeah, I mean, just raw skills and raw athletic ability. Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. They did, I think, before the season when they do their preseason testing and stuff, he tested through the roof. He's a great athlete. Athletic ability is not his issue. It's between the ears. So we'll see what happens. No surprise at all. I mean, I've been telling people at Auburn, our subscribers, for weeks, months now, he's not expected back really shortly after the season. It was just it was a tough couple of years with him, just fitting and doing everything he's supposed to do. And I mean, he was turnover prone, and there's just a lot of stuff to work through to try to get him to play winning basketball. And more times than not, it was a struggle. And so he's going to transfer. We thought for a minute he might declare for the draft, but he's already declared before twice. So if he would have declared, he would have had to stay in. And so he didn't declare. He'll transfer. Probably follow west to Ole Miss. I would imagine that's kind of what we've been thinking for weeks as well. But no surprise that he moved on. And I told our subscribers weeks ago too, like, even if Allen had come back and said, hey, all right, I want to be back on the team, I'm not sure there was a spot for him anyway.
Is it safe to say that maybe Wes leaving that coaching staff was a bigger surprise than Allen leaving the team after Wes?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I was told probably a month ago. I had some conversations. I mean, I have conversations with these people, in the basketball program throughout, and I was told probably a month ago that of those two, Allen might be welcome back more than Wes.
Oh.
But I think Wes leaving was more surprising than maybe Al's decision. I don't think anybody saw the West thing coming until it just sort of popped up, and his former coach Chris Beard happens to be at Ole Miss, and things just sort of worked out. But not surprising that either one of those guys are gone. And I think that the Auburn basketball culture and chemistry moving forward will be better for it.
So Peyton Thorne is the guy now. And, we heard for the last few weeks, Hugh Freeze would say, I'd pop tape in, and I'd say, this ain't my guy. When you talk to Hugh Freeze, or you hear, from somebody that has talked to Hugh Freeze, why is Peyton Thorne his guy?
Well, I mean, I think when you land a transfer portal quarterback, like where Auburn was at, I think there's a bunch of things to consider, whether it's who's in there. We need a guy, but I don't want to reach, but I do need somebody. I think what Peyton Thorne, I think there's a moxie about him. There's a good accuracy about him. There's enough athletic ability to run the RPO and to scramble and to make things happen, the way Bo Nix would. He's maybe not the athlete Bo was, but you've got the athletic ability to pull the ball and run if they don't respect it, to scramble and make things happen if it's not there. He's played multiple years of Power 5 college football, and I think maybe one of the biggest things is he's got 2 more years of eligibility left. that might be one of the bigger selling points. If you take somebody that, across the board, all things being equal, I think the fact that he's got 2 years and you didn't have to go get a guy just for 1 year is a big deal. I think you've now got your quarterback for the next 2 years, and you can start Hugh Freeze can start his tenure off at Auburn with a 2-year quarterback. I think that's a big deal. So you're not doing this again next year and trying to rebuild things, or does Walker White come in and ready to play? So I think the 2 years of eligibility was a huge deal as well. Obviously, you got to have the skills, and there's got to be some things that you like about the player. But I think those 2 years is massive, man, because now you can come in, not just this year. I think everybody's looking at this year. What does he do for this year? And yeah, I get it. That's the one right in front of us. But this year's kind of, I don't want to say a wash, but like if you win 8 games, Auburn fans are fine in year one. Like they're not expecting the world. 2024, you get a guy that now can come back as your quarterback in 2024, which Peyton Thorne can. Now you actually give yourself another high school class, another portal class. You give yourself a chance to really compete next year in year 2, like go for 10 wins. I mean, really compete to do some nice things. So I think those 2 years of eligibility was as big a deal with Payton Thorne as anything.
Justin Hokanson with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, part of Auburn Live on 3 Sports @_J Hokanson. But you got to have somebody to throw to as well, Hoke. They addressed that in the portal, and some listeners of the Coke Zero chat room, I just want your opinion on this, are saying they don't think Auburn's done at wide receiver in the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think they hosted North Texas receiver Shorter. I can't remember his first name. They were after the kid from TCU, but he's probably going to SMU. They're hosting Keon Coleman, massive portal prospect who was at Florida State and arrived in Auburn, I think, last night. The transfer from Michigan State, the receiver, 6'4", beast of a guy, probably, maybe the best portal receiver out there right now.
But isn't he the guy that hit the portal basically saying that
Peyton
Thorne couldn't throw the ball to him?
I mean, I don't know. All I know is he's visiting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the truth to that is, about whether it's Peyton, maybe it was the offense. I don't know.
Okay.
I just know he's down here. So there's got to be some, something there that he likes. Now, Florida State feels good about him, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't think Auburn's done at receiver. I mean, they've got athletes there on the roster, but that's the other position you heard Hugh Freeze talk about in the spring. Hey, they're not where I want it to be. You just got a lot of unproven guys there. You don't know what you have really in Nick Martin or Javaris Johnson or Camden Brown, Jay Fair. All those guys are unproven. And so I think bringing somebody in that's got some experience, some ability to get open and be a playmaker is huge. There needs to be some more competition in that room. Caleb Burton's an interesting prospect. I mean, redshirted last year, had some injuries, but you're talking about a 4-star prospect from Texas that Ohio State goes to Texas and says, we think you're good enough to sign. Ohio State's one of those schools right now. If they're recruiting a receiver, I'm just gonna trust the guy's got some real ability. So, and he's got 4 years of eligibility. So I think that's a kid that could maybe help you this year, but I think that's a great pickup for the next couple of years down the road.
Yeah, and I said this in a video on Saturday that his friendship and working out with Garrett Wilson, who was really good at Ohio State and is now doing it in the NFL, that they worked out together, and he also went to Ohio State from that same area. That's got to say something about his ability. And I'm like you. If you're an Ohio State receiver, I don't care if you're on the field or not. I think you're pretty good. But from that part of the country and his friendship with Garrett Wilson, that gives you another check mark in my book. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's just going to be interesting to see how quickly whether it's Caleb Burton, whether it's any of these other receivers that they come in, how quickly can they come in, learn the playbook, and be a factor this year? Can they be a factor in September? And so I think they can. I mean, a lot of that offense, that RPO offense, is just understanding being at the right place at the right time. And so I think if you've played in it before, can pick it up, I think you've got a chance to play early. So we'll see what Burton can bring to the table. But that receiver room, now that you've got Peyton Thorne, the attention kind of shifts towards wide receiver when you're talking about that offense. Who can step up? Who else can they get in the portal? And who can develop quickly to be a playmaker out there? Because you're probably going to rely on those running backs a lot and the offensive line a lot. You don't need a ton of receivers out there for what they're going to probably try to do this year. You just need some reliability and some competition.
Back to making an impact this year, if you had to guess, Caleb Burton or linebacker Jalen McLeod, bigger impact this year?
Oh, McLeod. No doubt I would go with McLeod because I don't think they have anybody like him. I don't think they have any type of edge rusher, any type of legitimate pass rusher on that team. They don't have anybody like him. I think that you can line up out there and tee off on 3rd and long or even other passing situations, blitzing situations. I think he is a really, really important piece of the puzzle for what that Auburn defense is going to end up doing. If you think about what Ron Roberts wants to do, if he wants to play in the backfield and create havoc plays, and that's a part of what they do on defense is creating negative plays, he's going to have to be a big part of that, Jalen McLeod. So I would say McLeod big time. I think you're going to look back, and if Auburn's successful, if that defense is successful, Jalen McLeod's going to have to be an important part of it.
But assuming, Hoke, that Auburn is done in the transfer portal receivers, which they may not be, but for the purposes of this question they are, give me your 3 starting receivers on opening day.
I would go Nick Marner. I would say Javaris Johnson. And then the last one's kind of up in the air. I mean, I think Jay Fair will play a lot. Coy Moore, maybe, because of some experience he has, he might be your starter. Camden Brown's going to play a lot too. I sort of look at Nick Marner and Javaris Johnson as sort of the top 2. And then I think Coy Moore, Camden Brown, Jay Fair all get mixed in there and see who can make plays. Of course, Landon King's gone now. So I would kind of look at those guys. But, I mean, the spring game, they mixed it around a lot in terms of who was rotating. And Amari Kelly is a guy to watch. Redshirted last year, but's got some good ability. But Nick Marner and Javaris Johnson, I think, are really the guys that I would hone on them being 2 reliable guys. And then past that, I think it's pretty wide open.
So,
I missed the question. You didn't say Caleb Burton.
That's
there
what
at
I'm
all.
saying.
Yeah.
So Burton is not a guaranteed starter.
Well, I just don't know. I mean, he didn't play at all last year. I mean, he's got no experience other than potential, and now he's got to come in and be a stud, learn the offense, and then start. I mean, it's very possible. I don't know. I'm kind of one of those guys, I just want to see it first. And so I just don't know.
You got to overreact, though. You got to say, you got to, this is media 2023. You can't be reasonable.
If he had some snaps last year, but he just didn't. And he had some injuries, which I think he's fine. But we'll see this summer. We'll hear a lot this summer. Receivers, quarterbacks, they're going to get out there here in the next couple of weeks and start doing their thing and building chemistry and running through that playbook. So we'll know this summer kind of where Caleb Burton's at, maybe some of these other portal receivers if they get another one. We'll know going into fall, okay, they're primed to make a run here in the first week or 2 of fall camp and potentially be a starter. I think we'll know a lot this summer.
All right, he is Justin Hokanson on all those things as Auburn continues to shop in the portal there at wide receiver potentially, @_J Hokanson on Twitter. He'll break that news for you. Auburn Live, part of On3 Sports. AuburnLive.com is where you can find that. So go check all of that out at all those spots. Hoke, thank you for the time, man. Always great talking with you.
All right, appreciate it, guys. See ya.
All right, buddy. Hokanson with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.